Hey guys, so for this video, what I want to do is review margin of error. What does margin of error mean and how do we find it? Okay. Sorry about the blurries on the edge. I don't know if I can fix that right now. Just bear with me. So, margin of error, one way it comes about is in how you sample. So, we're sampling. We have a population. But we only get data from part of it, and that part we call the sample. Okay? But from that sample, we make generalizations about the entire population. So, for instance, this is in the class notes that we did last week. For instance, in this exploration, there's a survey of 1,500 U.S. voters. 53% preferred Clinton to Trump with a margin of error of plus or minus 3%. So for this one, the sample is those 1,500 U.S. voters who were surveyed. The population would be the entire U.S., I guess U.S. voters in general. Okay? But without surveying all of them, you're going to have some kind of an error. And they tell us that that error is what that error is right here. So here's our variable is the voters. Okay, so let me build my confidence interval. That's what you do whenever we have this margin of error. So to start that out, I draw my inequality signs. My variable would be the voters. That goes in the middle. Okay? And then the margin of error, what you do is you grab it and you add it to the right-hand side. You subtract it from the left-hand side. And the thing that you add it and subtract it to is this statistic right here, this 53%. And that value, you may just have to dig into the problem to get it, but we ultimately want these guys to have the same units. So if we simplify, this becomes 50%, and this side becomes 56%. So what this gives us is a range, 50% to 56%. Basically, the values in this range are very, very, very likely to happen. Excuse me. Whoa! Excuse me. So these are your likely values inside that range, likely. Outside of the range is very highly unlikely. Highly unlikely on both sides. So if I were to say, hey, well, I did a survey of 1,500 U.S. voters, but I found that 60% of them preferred Clinton to Trump. Well, this is highly, highly unlikely because it's outside the range of the confidence interval. Okay, so this value is highly unlikely. It's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely. Okay, so let me do one more practice problem. There's an error here. This percent should be minutes. So Susie the scientist is measuring the amount of time it takes her rats to finish a maze. The rats finish in 3.1 minutes with a margin of error of plus or minus 2 minutes. Find the confidence interval. So I see, here's my margin of error. I'm going to circle that. This will be my statistic that goes to the right and the left. And time here, that's your variable. Okay, so for the confidence interval, the first thing you're going to want to do is write down your inequality symbols. And the variable is what goes in the middle of those inequality symbols, which is time. And I'm going to take the margin of error and add it to the right-hand side. Subtract it from the left-hand side. And the statistic that oops, it's not percent anymore. Sorry. Always got to be careful with our minutes. And the thing that we're adding and subtracting it to is that 3.1 minutes. So if you simplify the range of highly likely times for the rats of this maze, I can't add right now, 1.1 minutes. So here is the range that is highly likely for the rats to finish the maze, between 1.1 and 5.1 minutes. Let me do one problem. Let me see if there's any on here that are reasonable. Here is the study guide. There's only 2 questions on there. There's only 2 problems on there. So I think you'll be okay completing those on your own. Be sure to come in and message me or come to office hours if you have questions.